Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to someday in July's edition of Whatever with Don and Justin. I am Don, and that other person is...
Yeah, whatever.
And I don't know why we're talking this way, but I will say I have a big ding dang in my Jimmy Wang. But you know,
Yeah, whatever. 'Cause this is my United States or whatever. And this is my United States or whatever.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh, what is this? Does that sound familiar?
oh yeah, I know.
We talked about this woman last week. I just thought it was quaint. That's exactly how she sounds.
Exactly.
Sounds like Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20. It's a good soundtrack in that game. Anyone that hasn't played Silent Hill 3, myself included, needs to go ahead and get that done.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is replaying old games. But there's a ton of stuff like I haven't gotten to in my lifetime for whatever reason. I consider myself like a pretty adept gamer. I've played a lot of stuff over the years, and
Yeah.
Silent Hill is just not one of those series I've ever gotten into. Don't know why. It used to be.
Okay.
I played the original, 97? When did that come out?
97 or 98.
I think it was 97.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, because it was after Resident Evil. It was like Konami's version of Resident Evil, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And it was much more supernatural, I guess, and
Well, it was cryptic. Like the game didn't really spell out its plot at all.
it was a lot more mental, like a lot more psychotic, kind of. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I remember actually when I beat it, I remember being like, "What the fuck was that game about?" Like we had to sit there and think about it.
Yeah, it was much more of what's the word I'm looking for? A cerebral experience, I guess, because it was much more. It was a lot scarier than Resident Evil to me, anyway. Because in Resident Evil, you had guns, and you were playing as like this badass trained, like police officer character or whatever they were, and you know what I mean, like a SWAT team kind of character, and you felt like kind of prepared for everything that was coming your way. Whereas opposed to Silent Hill, you're just a guy with a flashlight looking for his daughter. And the fog was just like that just drove me nuts. Now it's horrible looking, but at the time it was really creepy, because it was kind of open world and
it's just the mystery of it too. You just really, I'll tell you straight up. I went to my buddies in a couple towns over. This is when we were in middle school, and we were gonna go stay with his father up there, and we went to the video store and we rented Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. And
it's a good couple of games there, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right?
Konami thanked you, I'm sure.
Yeah,
for not buying 'em.
we were like, what's Silent Hill about? We didn't really know. So we literally started playing it. We were like, okay, what's this about? And then it just went way crazy.
Well, that's how the rest of the series went too, right? I think it just got even more and more mental as it went along. The second game was literally a completely different experience. I just feel this is a good background music while we're talking here. But it was much more of a, I don't know how to describe it really. It was a game that showed you that every person that went into the town had their own experience with the town, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was a standalone experience. It was totally unrelated to the first game, other than the fact it took place in Silent Hill.
Yeah, it was about the town.
Right, and the thing was, the town gives you this weird experience based on whatever's going on in your own mind, right?
Yeah, like your own guilt.
Yeah, and so the second one, totally unrelated to the first one, and that threw a lot of people for a loop because they were expecting a sequel in the truest sense, and it was basically like Final Fantasy or something. Then Silent Hill 3 comes along, and that actually ties to the first game, correct? I think
I'm sorry, which one?
the third one. It was. I think it's the daughter of
one,
the first. The first one,
yes.
right? Okay,
the third
so
one ties directly into the first one.
right, and then the fourth one gets even more mental.
Yes.
And just has absolutely nothing to do with anything. So,
Well, it still has the town.
other than the town, yeah. But yeah, like Pyramid Head, the big scary thing with the blade or whatever it is. That's only in the second game, right?
No,
It's
he's
in
actually
Homecoming.
He's
too.
actually in Homecoming.
Yeah, that's right. And that's kind of funny that we get into Homecoming, because one of the things I wanted to mention tonight was Double Helix, the developer of one of the games that I've been playing lately, the new Strider. You like how we segued into that? That was pretty
I
good.
do.
So one of the things was I wanted to talk not just about Double Helix, not just about Strider. First of all, I think the new Strider, I think it came out in February. It's a game this month, a free game on PlayStation Plus if you're a subscriber. And so I've been checking it out on the PS4. It's like the first thing I played on the PS4 in a month. But I think it's actually pretty good. Like, I just came off of beating Guacamelee this past week.
Yeah.
And that game's a lot of fun. If you haven't played Guacamelee, it's really, really good.
I've played the beginning, but yeah, I need to play more.
It took me, I think, 5.5 hours to beat, so it's not too long. But it's really, really fun. It gets kind of tough at some parts with the platforming and whatnot. It's kind of almost Super Meat Boy-ish at times, because there are power-ups and things that you can get to extend your health and things like that. But they're basically like heart pieces or something out of Zelda. But in order to get to them, you have to platform, like wall jump and time your jumps correctly and everything. And it gets kind of tough. It's challenging, but it's fun. And I don't know, like I appreciate that kind of stuff. But coming off of that, playing the new Strider, which is also kind of a Metroidvania game, it's different. I guess it's different because there's not a whole bunch of you can wall jump and do similar things like all Metroidvania games, but it's not focused on that. It's much more focused on the combat. And have you played the new Strider?
Yes.
Did you beat it?
I did not beat it though.
Okay, I'm only a couple hours into it, but it starts off really, really easy. It's just like they don't even really ease you into it. It just really starts off way too easy. Then about the third boss or so there's like a huge difficulty spike for whatever reason, and then you find out how god awful the checkpoint system is, and after that I don't know what it's like after that, honestly, because I just beat the boss. I think his name's Solo. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No.
It's pretty bad. It's literally the first one that the first time I died was over an hour into the game, and I died numerous times, not just the one time. But yeah, it's weird how it spikes up in difficulty like that. With Guacamelee, it kind of really has a nice difficulty curve to it. But what I was getting to is Double Helix, the developer of Strider, the new Strider remake.
Mm-hmm.
It started off with Silent Hill Homecoming. You played that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I've played that.
Okay, I haven't played that one, so I can't speak to it. I took the fact that they did not allow players of the PC version of the game to invert the mouse controls as a sign of what kind of game it was, so I just didn't give it the time of day, basically. Because that's a pretty basic feature to implement, and
Yeah.
if the game's not going to do that, I'm like, well, what's the rest of the game going to be like? It's obviously... Anyway, so I didn't pay any attention to them as a developer, and I'd seen bad things said about Homecoming, since day one practically from fans of the first four. What did you think of Homecoming?
Honestly, I enjoyed it, but I felt that they just like almost was like it was like a fan made game. Like they were like, let's just take a bunch of cool ideas from the other games and throw them in. But at the same time, I did like the overall story, but I also thought the game like shit the bed like the last area of the game.
Okay, you know what's interesting now that I think about it too? Their entire history has been sort of what you just said. Like long-standing franchises that they're probably huge fans of and would love to make an entry in, and then they end up doing it,
Gotcha.
Like you think about, they did Silent Hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did they do with their attempt at a Silent Hill game? They bring back like the most notorious villain in Silent Hill series, right? in Pyramid Head. They bring him back into their game, and they just like you said, it felt kind of like a fan game almost.
Yeah, and they had the like kind of a good twist in the game at the end there.
Doesn't it have a combat, like a hand-to-hand combat system in there too?
Well, there is kind of like, yeah, it probably has the best combat in the series. When it comes to fighting.
Is it better than Silent Hill Shattered Memories?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't fight in Shattered Memories.
Exactly.
But no, but I mean, there's like a dodge move, and yeah, it definitely had more combat. But I thought the combat was actually pretty well done.
Okay.
Basically, I mean, they even took like, I shit you not, you haven't played it, but they took areas from the actual Silent Hill movie towards the end. You actually go to the church.
Well,
from
that's
the movie.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel like it's a fan game, but also I thought the story was really kind of cool, and I mean, not that it was anything super crazy, but what I really did think was really trippy is once I beat it, I played it again, like I started over, and from the very beginning of the intro, they basically kind of showcase stuff, like they kind of, it's almost like they spoil something, but you have no idea that they spoiled it.
Right.
Because you wouldn't know, but when you go back and play, you're like, oh, whoa. So I mean, it's got the psychological thing, and I'd say the first like 2/3 of the game, I thought was pretty well done, but I just think the last part kind of shits the bed because I think the scares kind of disappear, and I think it kind of turns into like Hostel, which it's kind of hard to explain why without spoiling it.
Well,
but yeah,
Well, I thought you were going to say it's hard to explain why it turns into that. I was going to say it's because it was like a really popular genre back at that time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just don't know why they went that direction in a way for that last sequence, but yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. But so after that, is their next game Killer Instinct from that? I don't think it is, but I don't know of any others in between.
Oh, let me look them up real quick.
Yeah,
I think there's one more.
I think you're right.
Double Helix?
Yeah. But they made, the Killer Instinct remake on Xbox One.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's actually a really good game, and they did an interesting model with it with the episodic releases of didn't they release a story mode as well as
they did. They released new characters. And then the story mode.
And they're still coming out with characters. Like they just announced Maya as a playable character. Did they announce that at Evo? I can't remember.
Well, actually though, I don't know if that's by them because
not by then. I think it is. I think they're still making. They're still contractually obligated to finish out their contract.
Oh, to finish one. Okay.
Yeah, Microsoft. So
actually, funny thing is, they didn't do a lot of great games after Silent Hill.
Right. Yeah.
They did G.I. Joe.
Okay.
They did Front Mission Evolved. They did Green Lantern. Battleship. And then it was Killer Instinct and Strider. So you have a huge gap of considerable quality too.
How do you make a game out of Battleship? I don't understand that.
With money?
I mean, I know how you make a game out of Battleship, let alone a movie. But how do you make? I'm guessing it was a movie game, right? And that movie was atrocious, so I can't imagine. Anyway, man,
now how do you get
excitement for that project?
You don't. To me, we need cash. Let's do this.
Yeah, pretty much. They remind me of High Voltage Software, kind of, by the way.
Yeah, they had a game called Harker that they were making on, which was based off the fictional character Jonathan Harker.
Okay.
And they were working on that, and there was I think one trailer for it, and I was like, okay, cool, it's a vampire hunter, and whatnot, and they were kind of doing their own thing, and then they put it on hold for Silent Hill Homecoming development, and then it got canned.
Oh, it's depressing to hear stuff like that, but who knows? Like now where they are, that maybe they'll do something original. But so after Silent Hill, they got a bunch of different deals, obviously, and it was all kind of shovelware kind of stuff. Then they did the Killer Instinct revival, basically, which is cool because I remember when that was in development and they were interacting with the community, and they were making it a point to tailor to the competitive fighting audience, and that was basically who they were going after from day one. And they were asking questions like, "What would you like to see? Would you like to see the Linkers brought back? Would you like to see that kind of this and that, and that kind of stuff?" And they took it to heart, and it turned out to be a really cool game. And they're supporting it really, really strongly after it launched. It launched almost a year ago now. It's been 9 or 10 months now. but it's still going strong from what I can tell. From what I played, it was a lot of fun. So they did really well with that after a pretty subpar history up to that point, and
Now,
then
did you know though
probably
that
not.
did you know that that studio actually used to be part of the studio The Collective?
Oh, did they really?
Yes, they
No.
merged with
Yeah.
Backbone Entertainment to form Foundation 9, and then in 2007 Foundation 9 emerged with The Collective with Shiny Entertainment to create Double Helix games.
Huh.
So they
Interesting.
actually have a longer history in reality.
So
You know, they have
shiny of MDK
yeah,
fame.
I mean there's that, but I guess starting from The Collective, they made Buffy the Vampire Slayer game that was really good.
Oh, okay.
They made Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb.
Right.
They made Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, Mark Echo's Getting Up, The Da Vinci Code, Dirty Harry. So they have this kind of like you said, they have this track record also working like with IPs.
Yeah, yeah, definitely seems that way. Unfortunately, Backbone doesn't have a great track record of remakes and re-releases with the community gaming world, but
No.
you know, you can't do anything about that. I guess anyway. But what else did? Wow, they worked on a Deep Space Nine game. Jeez, I didn't even know those existed. Anyway, um, but yeah, so after Killer Instinct, they went to Strider, right? And
Yes.
that's another reboot. Effectively, I never played the original Strider. Did you?
Oh yeah, I did.
Was it just kind of a Ninja Gaiden kind of game where you're just going from level to level and
Well,
like side
actually, yeah. I
scrolling?
mean, it was level to level side quest. I mean, or
Yeah.
side scrolling.
Mhm.
But basically, you know, view the way the game is played now in the new one.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't an open world like open
Right.
area Metroidvania. It was just stages. You'd get to one end, beat the boss, go to the next.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah. So the original, like, and I always get Strider and Shinobi mixed up for whatever reason. I'm not even sure why, but
Sinner.
I know it's stupid. I'm sorry. I didn't ever play any of the old Ninja. The only old Ninja game I ever played was the original Ninja Gaiden, and it was so friggin' hard. I could get to almost to the final boss, which now I replayed it probably 10 years ago when I was in my 20s, and it is almost impossible to play game today, Ninja Gaiden specifically, because it's just so cheap with like all of the respawns and all kinds of things like that, and it just doesn't hold up to me. So I don't know what the original Strider would be like if I went back now and tried to play it, because
I don't think it wasn't ever really that hard, to be honest.
Okay,
I don't
well,
think.
I wonder if me complaining about the difficulty spike in this Strider is just kind of comical compared to the original. If I were to go back and play it, you know what I mean? Like just because
Yeah.
the games back then they just had a completely different mindset when the levels were being done. But this new one's actually really good. It's a lot of fun, I think, and it reminds me of Shadow Complex kind of with the level layout. The way that there's no real bottomless pits or anything that you fall into. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
literally feels like an entire complex that you're running around in. So there's like a ground floor, and then there's like another floor above that, and it just feels multi-tiered. And it just feels like really cohesive in design. It doesn't feel like sectioned off or anything like that. It just feels like one gigantic factory or whatever you're running around in. So I like the way that it runs together like that. I'll keep on playing it. I'm considering buying it on Steam if it goes on Steam sale again, just because I like to have my downloadable games on PC.
Gotcha.
Because I'm scared of consoles not being around in 20 years for me to be able to download my games.
Yeah.
But other than
true.
that, it seems pretty solid. And I think I almost tweeted this morning when I was playing it, that I think it's unfair that their fate basically is having been bought up by Amazon to work on their Fire system. You know what I mean? I don't because they started out pretty poorly, but over time they got gradually better, and then Strider's a really solid game, and it's multi-platform, and it just makes me
Yep.
think, ugh, like it just drives me crazy that we're not going to get another multi-platform game from them, especially
Yeah.
in the vein of Strider, because I love Metroidvanias, and it's like Why
Well,
did
let's
that?
play.
Ugh, why did
Let's
that?
play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Let's say maybe they're not making ends meet with their money, with the amount of money they're making, and it was getting down. Maybe I mean, I don't know this. I mean, this could be total bullshit. Who knows? I don't know what their situation is,
That's
but
likely
but
it.
but yeah, I mean, imagine maybe they were like, you know what, the numbers aren't adding up. We're either gonna have to let people go, or we're gonna have to downsize, or we're gonna have to shut our doors unless we do something about it. And
Yeah.
then someone either came around and was like, hey, if you work for us or do for us, we'll give you this, and it sustains them for 2 years or whatever. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, it's some businesses that literally have to live like that. Like, it's like, oh well, I gotta try to make ends meet, to support the workers here and everything, and we gotta go where the money takes us, so to
No
speak.
choice. That's one
Yeah,
of the
no
things
choice.
is it happens to the best of companies. Obviously it happened to insert company name here practically. It happens all over the place. It even happened to Irrational Games, and they're not even independent. Like they're owned by 2K outright, and I mean to the point where they were called 2K Boston for a while. And
Hmm.
their games were they sold what 5 million copies of BioShock Infinite, and they still got shut down because it just
Yeah,
wasn't enough for them.
it's kind of ridiculous.
It is, but I just there's also the other side of it where I don't think this can happen again today, but Bungie was in trouble at one point in time too.
Hmm.
And they made Oni, and
Oh
Oni
God,
completely bombed, and that was
as it should have.
right. And they made Halo, but they weren't owned by Microsoft at the time, and they had the choice basically sell yourself to Microsoft or go under, and they sold themselves to Microsoft obviously, and so Microsoft, they were like majority shareholder or whatever of Bungie for years and years, and then eventually Bungie bought their independence back from Microsoft, and
Hmm.
we'll see if that is going to be if something that Microsoft is kicking themselves in the ass about for years to come. Whenever Destiny launches, and if it does what I think it's going to do and break all kinds of records, then I think they'll probably regret letting Bungie even consider buying their independence back. But I don't know. Like I don't think that can happen in today's market. Personally, that I don't think Double Helix will ever be able to buy their independence back from Amazon or anything like that, and I don't think they'll want to practically because I don't know. I think I'm just worried that once they got their feet under them, they had to be bought up by someone and go exclusive to their platform. And I don't know if anyone's left the company yet, but right when they were just getting good, it's like, what if a mass exodus happens because no one wants to work on an Amazon gaming platform, and then
Yeah.
you lose a good developer because, you know what I mean? It sucks. I hate the thought of that, but I'm just worried that might happen. But also, I don't think I'm interested in buying that gaming platform just to play whatever game they're going to put out next either.
Yeah.
So
No, it's and I hate to say it, but trying to make a new platform. I mean, in this day and age, it's not a I mean, Microsoft took some balls when they made theirs.
yeah,
And
it was
from what
still
I
expensive then too, but it wasn't nearly as prohibitively expensive as it is today.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it was Microsoft. You had people that
Right.
were hardcore Microsoft, like fans that were like, Microsoft's making a gaming system. I'm going for it. You know what I mean? But
Like Apple
but I mean,
fan.
like, I think a perfect example is the oh man, I can't even think of them now. The kickstarted the Ouya.
The Ouya, yeah.
The Ouya got kickstarted by people to
Ouya.
make all that money and to make it a possibility, and it's bombing big time.
I'm surprised Stuart Scott of ESPN didn't sue them for the booyah thing that he says all the
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Like it's a thing that people voted on with their dollars and said we want this made now, and then it's completely tanked to the point
Yeah.
where they're offering an all you can play buffet basically now for like a yearly subscription for $60 I think. You can play every game on the marketplace, unlimited, for however long you want, and I don't know, like, and it's still not. I don't think it's helping it much, if at all. But
No. I mean, but
it's
that's the thing. It was funded by people that wanted it,
right.
and yet here it is. It tanked, and the people that wanted it don't like it, and it's like, that's I think a classic case of like just showing that what people want and isn't always exactly what the I don't know
Market
if I want to say
wants.
gaming community, but isn't
Yeah.
what consumers want.
Yeah. I would agree with that because I mean it's been proven time and time again. I mean, the most technologically stout system never wins, you know?
Hmm.
It's
I
always
mean,
what people think they want is not what the rest of the world wants ever. And
yeah.
that's just how
Well,
it is
yeah,
because
and
it's
I mean
always
that's
most
also why
expensive.
sometimes games that we like
Yeah.
and series change because they're not looking at the hardcore gamer. They're looking at more of the average
I know.
consumer.
I feel like it's a shame because I feel like the Metroidvania market it's getting tapped into more now than probably ever before. But
Hmm.
when a developer comes along, because it's personally one of my favorite genres, when a developer comes along and proves they're good at doing that genre, with it being a relatively thin, genre overall, I just feel like it's a shame to have them be bought out. Now, to Amazon's credit, they're saying that they want hardcore games. Like they're
Yeah.
showing off the shooters and stuff, but those are made by Gameloft, who just copy and paste everything that they do. You know. Now, to Gameloft's credit, I've never played their games, so I don't know if they're any good. They just look like complete, like the Asylum rips off blockbuster movies and they call them mockbusters. It looks like that for AAA games. You know what I mean? So
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if they might actually be playable and fun. I don't know, but to me they just come off as shovelware kind of things. But to be lumped in with that kind of game now because it's somewhat of a mobile platform, I just think it's I don't know. I just don't I don't I hate that a developer that I was getting into liking is now pretty much gone in my eyes because that market is focused on a completely different type of gamer than me, you know? And so I'm not going to really be interested in anything they have coming out, from here on. And it's probably just me being prejudiced, which is not a good thing. I should be open minded, obviously. I own an Android phone. Like, I could probably run most of the games that the Amazon Fire TV will run. But at the same time, I don't really want to play a game on my phone. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the thing is it's kind of like I hate to say this, and I can actually kind of relate to this, having gone overseas when I was away from everybody. But there's that catchphrase or that key saying, "Out of sight, out of mind."
Hmm.
If I mean, I have seriously contemplated sometimes getting rid of other systems simply to narrow down my choices because then I wouldn't have so much shit to look forward to. If you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if I narrow down what my platforms are, I don't have as much to look at to get. And, if I can't get it, I can't get it. Tough shit. There's going to be something else to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, I still own all the systems and everything, but I mean, that's crossed my mind a few times, especially now that I have a kid and I don't have nearly as much time. I'm getting to the point where it's like, am I really ever gonna play this again, or do I really want to get this? Like, I mean, there's games that for me, are gonna just be like, I gotta have it day one, and my biggest one is The Evil Within. Everything I see about that game and know about it, I'm like, that game is a game I've been waiting for a very long time.
Hmm.
And so I mean, like, that would be oh god, I have to get it. But then I look at other games like the Lord of the Rings Assassin's Creed game
Hmm.
and stuff, and I'm not saying that those are bad. That's a bad looking game. It looks really good, but it's like, am I that excited for it as I am some things? No, I'm not. And that can be applied to anything and everything. But I think as things are changing with me too, I'm gonna take the approach of I'm gonna rent that or buy it when it's like $20.
Yeah, that's pretty much the
When
approach
it's on
I've taken
sale.
for the last few years now.
Yeah.
It's because I don't have, I have a very select amount of money that I want to spend on things, on
Mm-hmm.
games in particular. Because, once you get older, you start taking on more responsibilities and you don't
Yep.
have the
And the free time.
dispensable income. Yeah. So the thing that I was going to say, though, is I stopped. I think I mentioned this last week too. Like, I've stopped buying a lot of games day one, especially, but a lot of newer games even, and just going into looking at the older stuff that I've never played before. Because not only is it cheaper, but it's also more readily available with digital distribution now.
Well, hell, and you might already own it.
Yeah, that too. There's a good chance that I own a lot of stuff that I just have been meaning to play, but I don't. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's like I tweeted.
Oh, go ahead.
I tweeted earlier. I was like, "Hey, out of this backlog of RPGs, what should I play first? Witcher 2, Tales of Xillia, Skyward Sword, or what was the hold on, let me see, what was the fourth one I tweeted? It was those three, and then it was plus Xenoblade Chronicles. I have
Oh,
all those. I have,
I haven't
and
played
all those
Xenoblade. I've only
I
played
haven't played.
one and a half of those. I played half of The Witcher 2 four times. The thing the thing is it's The Witcher 2 if you get to play it. Number one, good on you for waiting because it has all the additional content now, so you don't have to wait, 6 months for it to be improved or the difficulty to be toned down because it was impossible to play for the first 6 months it was out because it was so damn hard. And I'm just stressing that to people that are like purists that are like, no, it was perfect. No, it was unplayable. I couldn't get past a friggin' boss. It was insane. But anyway, The Witcher 2 is really really janky. The animations and stuff. Didn't you? I thought you played it on 360.
I did, but I only played like the
Oh, so
intro and a little bit. That was it.
the animations and stuff are really really janky and clunky. It's an Eastern European game. Keep that in mind
Yeah.
because all of them are like that for whatever reason, except for Metro Last Light, which finally kind of broke the wall down and actually delivered a real AAA experience. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because 2033 was really janky too. The animations
Yeah.
are really stiff in it and everything. But the story in The Witcher 2 is really, really good. It's really, really well told. And
Yeah. Somebody was telling me that depending on the choices
there's
you make, it completely changes.
ton of different endings in the game, and there's literally it's kind of Wolfensteinish in that there's a decision you make and you get two drastically different storylines with two different characters altogether at one point, depending on who you choose. So, but yeah, The Witcher 2 is it's really long too. It's like 50 hours long at least, I'd say. But that one and Skyward Sword was really good, but Skyward Sword was much more of a straightforward kind of experience, I think.
Yeah, there's
It
nothing
wasn't.
wrong with that.
Yeah, it's fine. It was just much more of a. I don't know. It didn't feel so much like a typical Zelda game though. But you got to play with the motion controls, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta get used to that. And the key, by the way, if you do play that one, slow and steady. Don't friggin' people like to fling the Wii remote around, and it takes a second to register the
I
motion, the
broke my
movements.
I broke my TV. I
Oh,
threw
it
my
sucks.
controller.
It's so stupid. It's annoying to see people go like, "Oh, the controls are broken," and I never had a problem with them. They work perfectly fine if you just slow and steadily move the sword the way that you're supposed to. Because the thing has a little bit of a delay on it. It has to kind of register the move that you just did, and you have to give it time. So anyway, but I thought they worked really well. So those two games you can't go wrong with, though, in my opinion. Xenoblade I've heard nothing but amazing things about, and I don't know what the other one was, but Zillia, is that what you said?
Oh yeah, Tales of Xillia and Xenoblade.
Okay, Tales of Zillia, I don't know. So I think Adam told you to play that one because the sequel's coming out next month or something.
Yeah, like that don't mean nothing to me. I was like,
Wow.
you know what else is coming out next month? Diablo 3 Ultimate Edition and
Oh, it
other
is in
stuff.
it. So, but going on with the older games now, theme that we're kind of touching on here, the recent PlayStation Network sale had a ton of like 99-cent games. I think it's still
What a
going on.
killer deal.
Well, it depends, I guess, because you had to buy like $5 worth of games, which sucked.
Okay,
'Cause I
but,
hate,
okay, but still, I
Ugh.
think that's a killer deal.
It is, but I didn't want to spend five. I wanted like two games. I had to put $5 in my fucking wallet and buy five
Yeah,
games.
But to be fair, you could have held that off. You could held
I
off.
could have, yeah, and then
use that 250 on something else later.
towards something else later. Yeah, you know what? I could have. Now that I think about it, could have spent it toward Abe's Odyssey HD. Now I don't
There
even
you
know why I
go.
didn't do that.
You're a retard.
Now I have 4 cents off of Abe's Odyssey HD.
You felt that pressure, like, oh god, I got it in my wallet, I gotta spend it.
Yeah, pretty much. But a couple of games I bought the two Dino Crisis games. The Dino Crises. Is that what you call it? I don't know. The Dino Crises. I also bought Munch's Odyssey HD, which is cool. I hope. It probably sucks. I don't know. I have the original Munch's Odyssey, but I never played it. And then Legend of Dragoon. Never played that. And what else did I buy? I can't remember. There was something else. I think you bought it too, because we talked about it before the show.
I bought Legend of Dragoon,
Right.
Abe's Odyssey thing, or Wrath or whatever. Wild Arms 1 and 2, the Siphon Filters.
Oh, really? See, I've
Yeah.
never. I played the Siphon. I feel like the first Siphon Filter back in the day, and it. I don't. I just. I'm afraid that game just doesn't hold up in the slightest. So I'm not even gonna bother with it.
I don't know what the other one was. It was Dino Crisis. I remember we said, but you already said
Dino
those.
Crisis. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Oh right. That must have been it. The two Dino Crises.
But you know what?
I just love calling them Dino Crises.
I bought Legend of Dragoon. I've played it
Legend
a
of
long
Dragoon.
time ago.
Munch's Odyssey. Yeah. Fuck it. Whatever.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
played
it's not
them.
important.
It
I
is
played it a
important.
long time ago. And I haven't played it since. So I was like, okay, 99 cents. I remember liking it. Cool. So I started it and I played
Munch's
like the first
Odyssey?
10 minutes.
You're talking about Munch's Odyssey?
No.
Legend of Dragoon.
Dragoon.
Gotcha.
And so I was playing like the first 10 minutes of it. And I was pretty impressed. Because okay, you understand that like in a lot of JRPGs, especially like Final Fantasy VII.
Mhm.
I mean, there's like stuff going on in the environments, but pretty much like the backgrounds were pretty staticky.
Right.
Like not much going on in them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Are they pre-rendered? Is it like FF7 in that it's pre-rendered backgrounds?
Hold on, I lost you.
Of course.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
There you are. We're back.
Is it-
Okay, so yeah,
is-
like staticky backgrounds, like
Is it-
not a lot going on.
Yeah. Is it like, are they pre-rendered backgrounds?
Well, they are.
So they look
but like it's
blocky and pixelated and.
well, no, I mean they look okay. But what's interesting about it is, for
I hate
example,
that.
like there's one sequence in the beginning where this character, you don't know who it is overlooking like this huge chasm, like in forest, and it looks really cool. There's a storm going on in the background, and you hear something like moving, and it's like a dragon, and then the person jumps like into the
Oh,
background from the foreground, and then there's a sequence where you're going through this forest, and your character in the real time cutscene, not a FMV or whatever, using the blocky characters, he's running and dodging the enemy chasing him, and like a tree's falling down, and I'm like, dude, I don't remember stuff like this, and like a lot of role playing games don't do that. Like everything's either full motion video crazy or just we're walking and we're running away. And we're,
Is it one of those cases though where like all of the things that are going to interact with your character are colored differently than the background is? Do you know what I'm talking about? You remember that
Yeah.
there was a gag in The Simpsons about that once.
well, I mean, you can. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say that they're colored differently, but you can see like, okay, that's 3D.
yeah.
That's part of the background.
Yeah,
the
I
matted
love
background.
that because it's like you know what I'm talking about. It's like the backgrounds in the cartoons. They'd have like a drawer on one like a dresser or something, and it was the one the
Yeah.
character's going to interact with. So it was the only one that looked like it was in the actual cartoon world with him, and the rest of them looked painted.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy had that problem for a while with 7, 8, 9, but
Well, yeah, well, they would do like the Final Fantasy games. They would do like the FMV sequences that would go in and kind of move, and then they'd freeze,
right.
and then you'd be like walking in the area where it froze on. But I don't know. I just felt like the intro for this game, it was like a good
Oh,
combination
man.
of FMV, in-game cinematics and stuff going on, and different viewpoints. And I was like, that's actually pretty cool. Like it's
kind
not
of a
something that
precursor to
strikes
all
me
that
as a lot of
stuff.
RPGs doing.
It's kind of a precursor to all the modern stuff, huh?
Well, in a way, I kind of miss RPGs like that though. Like,
Is it turn-based?
yes, it's turn based, but it think Final Fantasy, but like some of your attacks you'll have to hit like combos. That can be a little frustrating.
Okay, hang on for a second. I saw someone mention this earlier this week on GAF. One of their biggest pet peeves with podcasts is when they don't mention what game they're talking about more than once at the beginning of the conversation. So for those just tuning in, we're talking about Legend of Dragoon on
Yeah.
PlayStation 1, right? So anyway.
Yeah, and so I mean, the thing is about it, Legend of Dragoon, is that I really think that that we don't get a lot of RPGs, Legend of Dragoon, that actually, none of them use like the matted look anymore, Legend of Dragoon. And I think that if you
None
actually,
of them do. This is Don Allen, by the way. This is Justin.
yeah, Legend of Dragoon, and I think that if you actually used the okay, so back in the day they used these like matted backgrounds and stuff because obviously it wasn't as easy on probably budget and time.
And by they you mean the developers of Legend of
yes,
Dragoon.
the developer of Legend of Dragoon, yes. And but the thing is now it's like 2D games. You see 2D games now that look way better because the arts is way more in depth, high depth,
Right.
etc. I still think I'd like to see an RPG that had similar backgrounds that do that. And there's only one that I can really think of that did that this gen.
This gen.
Well,
The
last
past
gen.
I got you.
Do you know what that one is?
Let me think. No.
Lost Odyssey.
Okay, I never played that one.
Yeah,
The,
it had it had backgrounds like that, and that's why I feel like it's the only RPG I've really played last gen that felt like a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1 role playing game with the way they
Interesting.
were designed.
I wonder, yeah, because it's kind of a shame, honestly, because a lot of Japanese devs seem to kind of be westernizing their games. You know what I mean? Like the JRPG design and things like that, because they're using Western engines like Unreal Engine and stuff like that for them.
Yeah,
And I don't know that the Unreal Engine is capable, or it's not designed with RPGs in mind. So it's more designed for shooters and that kind of thing, and RPGs in the vein of Skyrim, I guess.
yeah.
So in order to make a game with like a gigantic scale, it's I don't know, it's a bit of a challenge, I'd guess.
Well, see, I've been told that Xenoblade Chronicles is that game. That
Well,
that
I
they
can tell
took.
you that much. Yeah, Xenoblade has the huge kind of overworld that the Final Fantasies. I don't know. The last Final Fantasy I played I think was 9, so it's been a while. But those Final Fantasies in particular, they had the big, huge overworld. That you just jump in the ship and fly around and explore and
Yeah,
everything. That one, Xenoblade is like that, but I don't. It has a much more cohesive feel to it.
gotcha.
I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the stuff for Xenoblade Chronicles X coming out for Wii U at
Oh
E3.
yeah,
But the scale in that game is unfreaking believable. I mean, you're running around, and the whole, the big deal thing being made out of what's his name, Aonuma saying like, oh, if you can see that mountain in the background in the new Zelda, you can get to it. That kind of shit.
yeah.
In the live Treehouse demo that they did of Xenoblade Chronicles X, they literally they didn't even say, look at that stuff in the background, you can run to it. They actually waited till they got to it. Then they said, "Oh, by the way, you see that in the background there? That's where we started."
Oh, see,
And
I missed that
it's
one.
crazy. It's really, really huge. The
Was
scale.
that was their treehouse thing on that game?
Yeah, they did like a full 30, 40-minute demo of the first 30, 40 minutes of the game itself. Like they literally went from like the opening cutscene through like the opening characters and stuff like that, and explained everything. It was awesome.
They told you
So,
like after the fact. They were like, "Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah. So like they didn't make it a point. They weren't trying to like brag about it. They were just doing they were just playing the game like you're just playing the game normally. And then at this one part where they get to this big huge overlook and they're looking out over the ocean and stuff like that, you can see the coastline below them. They walk up to this cliffside. And they look down and they go, "Oh, by the way, they're like down there's where we started." And you just look at it and you kind of sit there and go,
Like,
"Holy
whoa."
shit! Like that's crazy! Like
Now,
this game
now
is
I don't.
like enormous."
Did you play the first one?
Um, no, I didn't play through it. It's really long. It's like
That's what I heard.
100 hours, something like
Okay.
that. You can get
Now
through.
I don't want to spin off of
It's
it.
really
but
cool though. The battle
but you-
system is cool, and
You brought me. You made me think of another topic with
we're
what
talking
you're
about,
talking about.
Xenoblade Chronicles. By the
Yeah,
way,
we're talking about Xenoblade Chronicles, but now we're gonna switch a little bit. But
after Legend
so-
of Dragon.
yeah, after Legendary Dragoon, preceded by Double Helix. But we're such smart asses.
No, sorry. I get it though. I understand.
Yeah.
Like, you just mention
But,
the game, name or something every
Yeah,
now and then. That's all.
instead of being just like this game's really cool, like, oh, what were we talking about?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
man,
listening
what
to whatever podcast with Don Allen, Justin.
It's
So
whatever.
it's good.
So, Double Helix, Legend of Dragoon, Xenoblade Chronicles.
You don't have to
All right.
recap every topic.
I know every 5 seconds. No, but you brought up a good point that it's something I'm a big fan of in video games, and not a lot of games do it. But even if it's faked, I like in games where you can see where you're gonna be going, or you can see where you've come from. Now, I guess when I say faked, I'll give a good example is Alan Wake. A lot of the environments in Alan Wake, where you start, you can actually literally see where you're going to go. If you had played the game before, you know where you're going. You can see that in the distance. Or as you're getting through the levels, you can actually look back and see where you've been. And even though it's not like an open world where you can fully explore, I feel like those kind of moments in games, I don't know why, it gives a good it gives a good representation of just of being a cohesive world
Yeah.
that you can visit, because I mean logically it's like you see something in the real world, you can get to it. You might be breaking laws getting to it, but you can get to it.
That's-
But I mean it.
One of the
You know what?
games I can think of that does that really well, one of the series, I guess, is Halo. The Halo games always had these, especially like the early ones, it was impressive, especially at the time, because you reach this area, and it's always, they were never shy about the openness. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
lot of the games at the time, Doom 3, for example, you know, those kind of games were like, you know, cordoned off into corridors, and they were where they had complete control over the graphics and they had complete control over the lighting and everything like that. And if you open up the game, it really takes a lot of that control away, because now you have this big gigantic bitmap image that you're looking at as a skybox, you know, and it could get pixelated and it could look really nasty if you get too close to certain things. And if you walk to the edge, you'll see this bottomless, you know, pit where and you might even see, you know, the texture seams where like the corner of the skybox runs together, that kind of stuff. But to Bungie's credit, like, they would always put these gigantic vistas and it's a first-person game, you know. It's impossible to hide something like what I was just talking about in a first-person game. You get right up on things. And somehow they made it work. You would see this gigantic, you know, tower that you're going to go to later on, and you finally get to it, and then you can look back and you can see, you know, the Pillar of Autumn crashed wherever you were before, and it's freaking mind-blowing at the time.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess it's just kind of tied into a relation of progression. It's kind of a way of seeing where you've progressed, or how you've progressed. And I mean, it even kind of stems down to, and I'm a fan of these as well, even stems over to like overworlds, like maps, like not like I mean, maybe Final Fantasy would be okay, but to better point out my example would be like recently Shovel Knight or Mario Brothers, where it's like, oh, look, I was over here, and now I'm over here, and now I've progressed over here, and it's like, I started over there, and I'm working my way over here. Ghouls and Ghosts, you know, those games that have those maps, and I love those maps. I mean, Shadows of the Damned has a map like that as well. You start from the left, and as you each chapter, your little dude walks forward, and it's like, that's a very smaller scale. You know, that's not. I don't really feel the immersion there, but that's a sense of progress. But in games like I was saying, like Alan Wake and stuff, it literally feels like you're in a world that you can travel. I mean, I guess you could say a biggest example of something that does it too is Skyrim. You see a mountain, for the most part, you can get to wherever you can see in Skyrim. Same with that was a big thing with Oblivion. You started out in the middle of the map, you could look.
That was
all
a big
around.
deal when Oblivion came out too. That was a big deal, just because it was first person. It was a big deal.
Yeah,
the older
you start out
games,
in the middle.
The older Elder Scrolls games are actually bigger than the newer ones. Which is funny,
but you couldn't see
right.
Like, you know, that far. But in Oblivion, it's like you started in the middle map, you could look all around, you could be like, I can go that way and that way and that way. And while you might not have been able to see details, but as you got further, things would pop up, or you could see something in the distance or whatever. And I really like that in video games. It's just, to me, it's something about, and that's why one of the many reasons I love Alan Wake so much. I'm always like, I don't know if you remember playing through the game, but there's a sequence where you go through like a ghost town and you work your way up, and then you get into the mines. And if you actually turn around, you can see the ghost town. Or another example is one of the I think it's the level right after you escape the police at the radio station.
Yeah,
you're kind of like going down a big mountain area. You hear a train. If you look, you can see this train track way in the distance with a train going across it. You actually go across that train track under the bridge.
Alan Wake was really cool in particular because the whole game world was open world. Like, the engine itself was designed to be like an open world kind of thing. Yeah. And so, have you played the PC version? You know, there's the camera,
I played both.
The camera hack that you can do.
Yeah.
And you can actually
go all around.
Yeah, you can like go all around the entire like area, the whole town basically.
It basically made an open world game, but then made it narrative driven. Or because it was so narrative driven, they locked it off.
Yeah, they they blocked off certain parts just for story purposes. But yeah, the whole thing is being rendered all at one time, and I think is one of the reasons like it would hit your frame rate is because everything in the entire game is actually being rendered. It's just, you know, not accessible at all times. Yeah, one of the games you're making me want to play right now again is Half-Life 2, because one of the most prominent examples of what you're talking about in my mind is the Citadel. Like right at the very beginning of the game, you see the Citadel and you see it like Barney says, he's like, this thing's on full alert. I've never seen it lit up like that. And you see all these, you know, all the scanners like flying out of it, you know, and then you see like one of them come up to you and like start to take your picture and all this crap. And then it comes full circle. You literally go like on this huge adventure, and then you just end up right back where you started at that Citadel. And then you go into the Citadel up to the top of it. It's freaking amazing. But yeah, I agree with you on that. I love
Yeah.
games that tie everything together like that.
Yeah, it's just very cohesive. Even freaking did you ever play it? Kind of going back, see how we're gonna spin this. You kind of going back to Ninja Gaiden. Did you ever play Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox or
I
the
did,
that
yeah,
Ninja? Yeah,
yeah.
you remember that one had like a everything was kind of connected.
It was, yeah. There's an IGN review that comes to mind now that you mentioned that because I remember watching it before I played it. I didn't play it till after it came out, but obviously, I mean, I didn't play it till months after it came out. But when I did finally play it, I was watching a review of it first, and the review mentioned that you would go through areas, and then they weren't accessible in certain places until later in the game. You come back through them in a different path.
Yeah,
And then yeah, that's a good point because
yeah,
then you feel like you've actually made progress because there might be a point in time earlier on in the game where you're too weak to take out enemies or something in that area, you know? And then you come back through and you're way stronger the second time and then you're finally like kicking their ass and you're like
yeah. You're just kicking butt, man.
yeah, you feel like
Or
you've progressed that much.
or you'd go through like the sewers or something. You'd pop up in an area of the map you couldn't get to before, but you could see like through a grating or something. You're like, oh, okay.
Warrior
You know,
Within
now
did
it's
that a couple
connecting.
times.
So I mean that I just love that sense of progression, and it's I guess you could say kind of like even Batman Arkham Asylum did it. You know that like kind of like Metroid-ish, kind of like you can get abilities, you can come back later, you can
Yeah.
open new ways that end up making you go back to the original place you were at. I mean, it's just a good feeling instead of being segregated levels or when it feels like segregated levels that are just completely disconnected and no connection whatsoever.
Well, kind of bringing the whole podcast full circle, kind of like what we were just talking about. What is your favorite Metroidvania game? That's a
Yeah.
topic on Gaff right now, but
Yeah,
it would kind of make sense
out,
right now because
out of all of them,
yeah, out of all the ones, including like Prime or anything that you can think of, not even just 2D
You know,
side scrollers.
no,
There's
that's
a ton of
that's actually a toughie.
It
I mean,
is.
like to throw that in my face right now.
You know what?
Uh,
Because now when I start thinking about it, the whole genre is like full of awesome stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's not like a real example I can think of that's just something I would say avoid. I really can't think of any. Like it's because like I was saying, there's not a whole lot out there in my opinion anyway. Like you have the Castlevanias, you have
yeah,
I guess maybe like the ones I would say you could maybe skip. The Game Boy Advance Castlevanias, the first one, Circle of the Moon, was kind of yeah. I mean, it kind of just set the stage for the other two on that system that came afterward. But really, out of those three, I'd say Area of Sorrow is like the one that needs to be played because it's really good. Like I just played it probably 3 or 4 months ago, and it still holds up really well. It's a really good game. But it's still not bad. It's just kind of redundant because
what
they're
about
all pretty much
I know
the
one
same.
that was bad.
Uh-oh.
Blowout on Xbox.
What is that? Never heard of that before.
Yeah, exactly. It was a Metroidvania kind of game. It's
That's
actually
good.
on. You can download it, I think, on
Huh.
Xbox 360.
Wow.
It's one of those ones they converted.
I will definitely do that when I own an Xbox 360 again.
Yeah, again.
I'll get
But,
right on that.
It's got a 3 out of 5 stars on Metacritic, so I guess it's not
That's
that
not too
bad.
bad.
I don't know. But it was 2004. It was actually developed by Terminal Reality.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Bringing back last week's podcast.
I
That's
know, right?
Crazy.
Isn't it great?
We just
we're
keep
making,
on
It's like we're making progression, and we're looking back at it, just like what we're talking about. It's mind blown
something
right
like
now.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, to pick out my favorite. Oh shit! You know what? That game's out on PC, Xbox, GameCube, PS2.
So there's a
It's on
PC
all-
version out there.
Yeah. So, it I don't know. It's hard because, hell, you know what game even did it really pretty good? I thought it was a more recent game that,
What's that? Shadow Complex.
Well, no.
Oh,
This is even
too
more
bad.
recent. And,
Shadow
and you,
Complex is
I believe you
awesome.
played this game.
Probably.
Zombie U did it really well.
Zombie U? That's a Metroidvania?
Well,
I did
it-
play. I played probably a third or fourth of it. I
There
didn't
are
play
parts
a lot of it.
where you can't go somewhere, and then you'd come out of somewhere, or you'd get an ability. Or
Oh,
a
you're
key,
right. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
and
then
you could warp around in this.
Yeah.
You could fast travel. So
you
in
unlock.
ways, it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say you unlock like fast travel areas so
Yeah,
that you
and
can
Dark
get
Souls
to them
1's
again.
like that too.
Well, Dark Souls is definitely like
Yeah.
that. It's not credited as being like that, but it is like that.
Yep.
There's where's the thread on Gaff? Let's see here. What are some people saying? There's Oh wow, not even getting to it. Dark Souls, first response. There you go, first post.
Is it on the first page?
Yep, first post. Dark Souls.
No, I mean, what's your favorite Metroid?
Oh, it's on the first. It was on the first page when I
Yeah, it
last.
is.
Area of Sorrow, Super Metroid. See, Metroid isn't really a Metroidvania though. Oh wait. See, I feel like
I see what you did.
I
there.
feel kind of like Castlevania and Metroid games should be excluded from the conversation, just
since
because.
it's obvious.
Yeah, because the genre's named after them, so it's kind of
Yeah.
redundant.
You can't count those. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd.
Let's see here. Guacamelee. I just mentioned that. Risky's Revenge. What is that? Never heard of Risky's Revenge.
Never heard of it
Well,
either.
we'll see. We'll look it up later.
But Shadow Complex, I did like a lot. I remember thinking that was really
Shadow
well done.
Complex was so good, and I
Sad
remember
they never made another one.
It's sad they never brought it to PC to me because it's an Unreal Engine 3 game. It had frame rate drops and problems on the console, which is a shame because you imagine that game at 60 FPS. That'd be so good.
Yeah.
And I remember though, like when that game was being marketed, they did the rounds on One Up podcasts and stuff like that, and they did the live streams and they were showing it off. And they did a Q&A session with Donald Mustard, I think's his name, the director of the game, and he took one of my questions and I asked him like, what do you think about? I said, what do you think about sequence breaking and is it part of the game? And he was like, well, that's definitely part of the Metroidvania experience. Yeah, it's part of the game. Like we've built the game with that kind of stuff in mind, and I was just blown away by, because a lot of developers, especially like for example, Metroid Prime, the original version of Metroid Prime on GameCube, you can actually sequence break. You can go out of order and get all kinds of things in different orders. Then they patched it. They didn't patch it, with a downloadable patch, but they actually fixed it. And in the next version of the game, you can't sequence break anymore. So like
when they release the next disc press.
Right. So the very first original press of the game, you can sequence break, and it's kind of coveted because you can do that, and people like to speed run it, and they like to get things in their own order. So it's not always embraced by developers, but the guys at Chair actually embraced it and built the game with it in mind. I thought it was awesome. I would love to play that again. So
what game was that?
That's Shadow Complex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Shadow Complex is probably that's top 3, I'd say, for me. Non Metroid, non Castlevania games. I don't know. Yeah.
Did you play Outland? I never played that one.
No, I didn't. See, I'm seeing all the answers in here that we've already said. Guacamelee, Shadow Complex.
Dust is one I played.
Dust is pretty good.
Yeah.
Dust is pretty cool. Miramasa, did you play that?
Yep, I have it on the Vita.
On the Vita? Oh man, I bet it looks awesome.
It does.
It looks really good on consoles, let alone on that little screen.
Yep, it looks.
Do you have the OLED Vita?
Yes, I have the OLED.
You should get the LCD Vita.
No.
Why not?
No, I don't want it.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want it. Just because it looks like shit? Is that all?
Yeah, maybe that is all. I mean, if it smells and looks like it, I don't want it.
You got Cave Story. Haven't played it yet. I own it.
Yeah, I haven't played Cave Story either.
Outland? No. Is that an older one? Outland? I think it might be.
I think so.
Older. That looks pretty cool, actually. There's another one a buddy of mine turned me on to the other day called Glare. I've never heard of Glare before, but it just came out in the past few months. And it's on Steam. I think it's $10 or so.
Glare or Claire?
Glare. Glare.
Glare.
But it looks pretty interesting. And he's big on Metroidvania games. So anyway.
You know which one I was playing recently? That was kind of Metroidvania, and I thought it was actually pretty funny.
What's that?
Unepic.
Unepic?
Yeah, it's Unepic. It's about like this guy that's like playing role playing games, turned
Not
like
epic.
Tabletop, goes to use the bathroom, and next thing you know, he's like warped into a weird world. And yeah, it's actually pretty humorous, and I have it on the Wii U.
Sounds like a little Nemo or something.
It's on PC as well, so.
Well, that's a bummer. I hate PC games.
Yeah.
All right, so I can't really think of anything else to talk about.
No, I think I don't know. We started off, guys, but like before we actually started the podcast, like we don't know what to talk
Came
about.
full circle. We came full circle, which is very appropriate for tonight's topic. So.
Yeah, what was I gonna say though?
I don't remember. No
Legend
idea.
Dragoon, Xenoblade.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I was gonna say it's time for the show to end.
It is. So what'd you learn
It's that
tonight?
time. I learned that we do have an appreciation, even as new age gamers. We both have a good appreciation, I think, for old games.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm in my adulthood. I'm going back and playing games that I didn't get to play when I was younger, or I just thought looked like they weren't my cup of tea at the time. And and even ones that I did play through, you go back now with I use the term maturity really loosely here, but with more maturity than I had when I was 13. And when I was 13, it was all blood, gore, that kind of stuff. Because at the time, something like Splatterhouse 3 was really, really gory to me. You know what I mean? So, like, that kind of stuff was more appealing for whatever reason. But now I go back and I'm able to play, right? I'm able to play and enjoy and even respect, the games that I thought were too kiddie or whatever back in the day. So.
Well, what's funny about that is I've kind of been like that my entire life.
Yeah.
I've just always played everything and been open to stuff.
I almost hesitate to say I wish I had been, because I'm getting now in my adulthood to enjoy games for the first time ever that are considered like some of the best ever. You know what I mean?
Good.
Like the Prince of Persia games. Like, I never played through them 10 years ago. I got to play through them for the first time ever in my
You're seeing the light.
Adult life, and it's cool because back when I was a teenager, when they came out or whatever, I would have been, this is kind of stupid. I don't know. He flips. The combat kind of sucks. Oh, look, there's no blood. It's kind of gay. It's like,
Well, let me give you the perfect analogy or perfect scenario for this.
What's that?
When I worked at GameStop, these two dudes came in, two military guys. Guy's like, dude, you have Kingdom Hearts? The other guy's like, dude, isn't that Disney shit? That's stupid. Dude's like, no, man, you got to play it. He played it. He came back later, and we're like, what'd you think of Kingdom Hearts? He's like, it was awesome.
That's Disney shit. Oh, come on, man. Disney's always been cool with me, but that's the thing is, you just kind of learn to let go of the macho kind of personality that you think you're supposed to have when you're a teenager, and then you kind of just embrace things. Yeah. And it's nice.
So look into your inner self and check out some other games, guys, because you never know what you're missing.
That's a good point. All right, so I guess that's about it. Follow. Whoa. Let's start next week's podcast.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So next week we'll be back again. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
I'll show you how to make a salami sandwich.
That works. So follow us on Twitter at It's Don Allen, at @SlasherJPC.
Yes. Oh, can I say one other thing before we end?
Good.
I just want you guys to know that I actually my Red Vines Kickstarter got denied, but my Kickstarter for I Hate the Potato Salad Guy actually got passed. But I canceled it anyway because it was a joke. So whatever.
Oh my God! All right. Well, we'll get working on that.
Until next week.
All right. Till then, take care of yourselves and each other.